We're live, Grant. We're live. We're as alive as we could possibly be.
We're breathing. That's for certain.
Maybe. We made it to Sunday. We're supposed to do this on Thursday, but we made it to Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're good. We good. What's up, everyone? We got a good episode for you today. We're going to talk about some fun shiznats going on in the pop culture-ish.
It's true. The news headlines have been pretty consistent, so...
Yeah,
I think what's been... What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say they've been consistent for, like, years.
No, not really. It seems like for years it's been something new every day, and now they're just starting to level. They're focusing more in on greater chunks now. They're like the duration that they're giving to each headline has extended, I think, whereas like a year ago it was very much more like this day, that day, this day, that day, and now like now, for example, like the past 2 weeks they've been focusing on like the Barr testimony. And that's been like when you open the news app on your phone, that's been the first thing that comes up for like the past 2 weeks.
Fair.
Whereas,
I was going to say
prior to that, it was always something new. But I think the reason for that is we've gotten used to like the frivolous headlines. Right?
Well, this is what news used to be. News used to be like, it was kind of like, you know,
right, like
you'd focus on one big topic for a few weeks, and it was what everyone talked about, and then you'd move on to a totally separate thing. But for the past 2 years, well, 3 years really, since Trump announced his presidency, or since everyone announced their 2016 presidency, it's been like, there's got to be something new to spew every day about someone.
Right. I just don't think the media outlets knew how to handle that at first. And so, like, they were reporting everything because it was so outlandish and, like, so radical, as if it was everything that was being said was worth a news story. Mm-hmm. But now that has become the norm. And so since the radical things that are being said and tossed around have become normal, they're not worth headlines anymore. And so in a weird way, like, we've absorbed that like insanity, and from doing that we've been able now to like turn back to like focusing on one headline again. It would really, like, I honestly, like, I think that the news, not the quality of it, but like the rate at which it changes, I've noticed this in the past 6 months, that I think it's gotten better. Like, I don't think it's as crazy as it was. No, I really don't.
I think there's less to talk about, just like we just said. You know, now they're kind of focusing on the Barr testimony and that whole thing.
I don't think there's any more or less to talk about than there was a year ago. I just think that
I think so.
No, I think that there's the same amount. I just think they're reporting it differently now.
I hope that maybe that's the outcome. Yeah, maybe that's the result of it. Maybe that's the symptom of it, right? Is that they're just finally figuring out how to report all of these things.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I think that's what happens. Like, it's just like whenever something's new, like they had to get like a grip on it. And I think they got a grip on, like, not got a grip on it. I'm just saying, like, well, if something is consistently so insane for so long, that will eventually just become white noise, and that's what's happening.
Think about it. Like, if we have, like, you know, someone like with Trump now being in the highest office, and everyone is looking at him, right? The way that he tweets, and the way that, I mean, he's been doing it forever, so even since before he announced his presidency. But with the way he tweets, it was like the news kind of had to play catch up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they just constantly had to, you know,
talk
about everything
Trump's
he said.
Tweets aren't like, I mean, he tweets
all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
he hasn't slowed down.
There was one day last. That's what I'm saying. I don't think anything has changed as far as the rate at which things are happening that we're being reported on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just being reported on less.
Right.
Because now it's normal. It's like we're expecting 20 Trump tweets a day.
Yeah.
We're expecting Trump to give that guy a nickname. We're expecting some scandal to come out about a senator, like, being part of like a child exploitation ring.
What I will say though is I still see, you know, I'll look at his tweets and everything, and I still see smaller reporters or individual reporters, like on Twitter and everything. They talk about it all the time.
Well, I think,
but it's the main news. The news organizations are like, you can talk about that, sure, fine, but we're not going to report on that shit anymore because we've shot ourselves in the foot too many times.
Yeah, well, that's what I think they're starting to realize, is that's what they were doing, but I think they've already destroyed their credibility, and I also don't think that they're swinging the pendulum far enough away from that, because still, if you go on, like, CNN's such a joke. Like, if you go on their website, like, their headline, let me just
crappy news network.
Just for kicks and giggles, I'm just gonna go on CNN right now and read some of the headlines that I see.
I mean, they're probably pretty normal.
Let's see.
They're probably pretty normal.
Bets are off on a royal baby due date. Okay.
Oh, jeez. See, these aren't
It's
not news.
Opinion, the word that made history.
Also, hold on. Can we talk about that for a second? I think that if you're going to I think there should be a thing that says, okay, if you're a news organization, you're a news organization. If you're a journal, if you're an opinion-based news organization, you need to call yourself that. You can't be both because too many people now are confusing opinion articles with real articles.
Well,
and real
CNN,
articles with opinion articles.
Right. CNN is trying to, CNN,
the Times does it
cover
too.
Too much.
The Times does it too, but people post opinion articles all the time as if it's fact, and it's like no. That's one person's opinion.
Right. Like just some Democrats are facing a huge problem. That's all it says.
Is that an opinion article?
Yes, it's an opinion article.
Right.
But what I'm saying is like, what kind of headline is that?
It's not. It's not. It's. I could say that right now.
How about this one, dude? This is all for anybody listening. These are current headline. I just went to CNN and I'm just reading them.
Oh God.
The era of spanking is finally over. Okay. What does that mean? Don't know. KFC stunt wasn't finger licking good.
Not
like what do you like when you actually sit here and read these? Like what?
You know what that was, right?
No.
The senator in the Barr testimony when Barr said he wasn't going to get subpoenaed and he didn't show up. The senator brought in a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken at 10 a.m. into the Senate, into the chamber, and ate Kentucky Fried Chicken to show that Barr is being a chicken.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, well, we've all now stooped to Trump's level of let's make this a fucking reality show. Dude,
but these are so good. The rest of them read the truth about, quote, Snitty.
What's the truth,
I don't
CNN?
know. Here we go. Let's keep going. Why I'm not feeling this historic Jeopardy run.
Not news. Not news.
Dude,
keep it to
is
yourself.
The last one. This is the last one, at least on the main opinion section. Is it okay to ask what's so threatening about a blonde in a pink shirt? What are you talking about, CNN? You know what's even worse? And honestly, this one's probably a bit more insidious because I feel like more people use it now, but BuzzFeed. I went on BuzzFeed before. Now, what I'm doing right now for people that are listening, guys, I went to BuzzFeed.com and I'm clicking on news. Let me read you some of BuzzFeed's news articles.
Oh, great.
Here we go.
Well, I don't know if I want to hear this. It's just depressing.
They were so good. I was reading them before. The Game of Thrones showrunners won't say if we've seen the last of the White Walkers.
That's an entertainment headline, though. That's not really news. I get that. That's entertainment. And that's another thing is you got to be. That shouldn't go under the news section of BuzzFeed. There should be an entertainment section where that goes.
This new documentary shows Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez before she was AOC. Black voters get that Bernie marched with MLK. They want to know what he'll do for them now. Here is the winner of the 2019 One Book, One New York program.
That's another thing, too, is we got to stop making headlines, these clickbaity titles. Like these aren't real. You're supposed to be reporting on factual events that are happening, and these are not that.
How startups like Zola are changing the wedding industry. Jackie Weaver says Angelica Houston can go fuck herself for shading her cheerleading movie.
That's not fine.
Pop Physique suddenly closed several of its bar studios and refused to give refunds for classes. Wow, dude. These are 4 books you should add to your reading list ASAP.
Slow news week, huh?
Dude.
I'm sure you could find other real things. That's another thing, too, is that's just lazy journalism. Let's find some real quality things to talk about.
It's just such
Zola?
Garbage. It's
Zola?
such garbage. The guy spilled gravy on his laptop, took it to Best Buy, and got arrested for child porn. That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to use that later. So thanks, Grant.
Anyway, I forget why we got. We were talking about like how news seems to be slowing down. I don't think it's slowing down. I mean, it is slowing down, but I think it's just a difference in how people are reporting on it. But like, if you really look at it, I mean, it's such garbage. Yeah. I think they're just getting lower ratings on that shit because more people are looking at it like what we just did and like reading it and being like, wow, this is so silly.
Yeah, more people are looking into all the major news organizations now and saying, oh my God, there's some truth to the fact that they're being fucking ridiculous.
You know what? I have something to say. Stop running for president, everyone.
Oh God, are we going to do this? De Blasio announced.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Really? He's going to this week. He's announcing this week.
That's so dumb. Nobody's going to vote for him.
No.
Why? Why would you? Oh, Keith, fucking up the podcast.
You can blame Jesse Keitel for that one.
Podcast.
Blame Keitel. I'm gonna clip that and I'm gonna show him later. He fucked everything up.
Colorado Senator Michael Bennet is running for president, and I guess there are now more than 20 Democrats running for president. Seems like a good idea. Hey, if you're a person who's just like planning on running for president right now, don't.
Yeah. Well,
don't. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win.
No.
Who could throw their name into the bats right now that would possibly win?
What the other thing that pisses me off about this is now, De Blasio is gonna get in the debate. All of these new guys are going to get in the debate. That debate is going to be a shit show.
Well,
and no one's going to actually...
There's not going to be any substance. You can't hold a debate
exactly.
with over 20
people. No, it doesn't work.
I hope that with this group of people that they decide to do more than one debate. Because if they have 20 people on, what is it, a 2-hour debate?
No, it's probably an hour.
Oh, my God, it can't be an hour.
Well, with this many people, it can't. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's 3 minutes of talking time each.
Yeah, I mean...
That's so
come
dumb.
on, people. De Blasio, why are you running?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, did you just wake up and go, you know what? I think I'm going to run for president.
Nobody's asking you to.
No.
Nobody is asking you to run. Just hang out, continue being the mayor of New York. You don't need this.
Not only that, but everyone has been saying for the past month, okay, let's cut it off. That's been a widely talked about thing.
We're still 2 years out. And so, not 2 years, a year and a half.
There's another one too. Someone else just announced as well.
Yeah.
There's a few of them. It's actually over 20 now.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, on to some more fun things to talk about. A movie that Grant has never seen.
You know what there's more of than presidential candidates?
What? Marvel movies?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's way too many Marvel movies.
No. If you've seen Endgame, you would disagree with what you just said because they all come together in this beautiful painting on a beautiful canvas.
So there's not too many Marvel movies?
Nope.
So there hasn't been way too many Marvel movies in
nope.
the past decade.
Look at how much money they made. Nope. Why do you think there's too many?
Because if you have over 20 movies, you got too many.
Yeah, but they all tie into this one final movie.
They're still separate movies.
Yeah, but think of it as episodes of a TV show.
It's not. They're movies.
But
they're released in a movie theater.
But Grant,
I'm not gonna
suspend your disbelief.
I'm not going to think of something as something that it's not.
Listen, you have a vendetta against superhero films, and this is the only reason you're saying this.
I actually don't. The past year, I've watched a few of them, and I found them relatively entertaining. Not to the point where I understand, but there's a lot of things that I don't understand why people are so into them. You know who I started listening to this week? Because you showed me him, Khalid. I started listening to his music. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Don't understand why people are so obsessed with
people. Are crazy. That's what happens with people is they'll listen to Khalid, and now it's the only thing to listen to.
But here's the thing. Feel like it's the same thing with Marvel movies.
No, well, but hold on.
People do that.
Hold on.
People give the level of prestige to something that doesn't deserve it.
You got to remember.
Constantly.
Well, that's okay, but Marvel doesn't fall into that category. Marvel comic books, these stories have been around since the 30s and 40s. So people that have been following these stories
the 30s and 40s, I don't think so.
100%. Look at when Spider-Man was created. If not Marvel, DC is definitely in the 40s.
You sure you want to stand by that?
When was DC? When was DC created?
Wait.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to stand by that?
When
30s. You said the 30s.
And the 40s.
Before World War II.
And the 40s. When?
The 60s, dude.
The 60s? Oh, I'm 20 years off. It's still 60 fucking years worth of content for a singular character. That's much different than an album of Khalid.
You want to know how old
You are conflating.
You want to know how old Stan Lee was in the 30s?
How old?
10.
Oh, okay, Grant. Wow, pull out your fucking laptop and get your facts.
Right, hold on,
okay?
See how old DC is.
See how old DC is. DC is older.
DC is 1934.
There you go.
But just a question: were we talking about DC or Marvel movies?
We were talking about superhero films.
No, we weren't.
Yes,
I specifically said there's been too many Marvel movies.
And I said you have a vendetta against superhero films. And then you
talked
about Khalid. And then you talked about Khalid, which has nothing to do. So you can't.
No, but my initial comment was there's been too many Marvel films. Had nothing to do with DC. DC's films, awful.
They're terrible. They're terrible. But what I'm saying
is
less than what I'm saying is you can't conflate fucking Khalid, who literally came out last year.
I'm not conflating Khalid. I'm conflating the trend of something
of being obsessed with something that doesn't have enough substance, but Marvel and DC do have enough substance.
I think that
they've been around for generations.
I think that being around a long time does not equate to substance. That's not how that works.
Well, substance is matter. Yes, there's
no,
stacks.
No. You can have stacks and stacks of very shallow books,
But they're not. I mean, think about it. They're not shallow if they've been around for 60 years.
That's not how it works. You can have many things. Like there are specific like James Patterson books that he comes out with like every year, and he's just full of ghostwriters, and they follow the same exact formula, all of them. The same thing with like Dan Brown books. Like they come out on like a relatively annual basis at this point.
Okay.
And they've been around for a while.
But
that does not equate to substance just because something comes out over a period of time.
Okay, fair. Think of it this way. The Marvel universe is a universe. To say that is not substance is pretty... There's substance there.
There's certainly like...
There's substance.
Background there.
There's like three different. No, there's two different Spider-Men. There's like three different Iron Men.
What I'm saying is that
there's substance.
I believe that I understand why they're popular. I think that they've killed the formula of what makes a blockbuster.
Well,
but that to me is the same thing as killing the formula for what makes a pop star.
Okay, I can agree with that.
That I will concede.
That I will agree with. I'll agree with that. But you haven't seen... Did you see Infinity War? You saw Infinity War, right? If you... And people that are listening right now will agree with me if they've seen these films. If you've seen all of the Marvel films, like, and you pay attention to what happens, like there's shit that happens in Iron Man 1 that comes back up and in Infinity War. There's shit that happens in the first Thor film that comes back up and you're like, oh my fucking God, I remember that from 2011. 8 years later, it's coming up in Endgame.
Yeah, but that's not that difficult to do.
It's not that it doesn't matter how difficult it is. It matters that it connects an entire 22 saga story.
Completely my only my opinion. Like I've read things that are just like the Marvel movies, they're entertaining, but they're just not like I don't consider them like masterpieces.
No, I don't either. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. But here's another thing too. I think it's absolute bullshit. Endgame won't get any nominations this year. I guarantee you. And that's crazy.
I don't.
It's crazy. Come on. I mean, think about
what would you want them to win?
I would want them to win
like best actor.
No, not best actor because it's best ensemble. 100%.
Maybe best ensemble because there's
at least be nominated. I know they'll get nominated for things like best visual effects. Yeah, they'll get.
But that's where it thrives. That's the thing.
Right,
that's why I'm saying it hit the blockbuster formula.
But the Marvel. This is what's different between Marvel and DC as well. At least in the films. Okay, Marvel. I mean, there's actual good dialogue in these films. It's funny. You get real character development. Like, people fucking love Rocket Raccoon. It was a tiny fucking character in the Marvel universe.
I don't know. Like, I think that, like, I've actually watched a fair share of the Marvel movies this past year. And
thank you, Julie, for forcing me to.
But it's more like, to me, it's like very shallow humor. It's like archetypes interacting with one another, and it's the exact comedy that you would expect to come out of that interaction.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever the Hulk guy's name is, like, oh, he's a nerd. That's the joke behind him. He's like, oh, he's an anxious nerd.
Yeah, but
that's like what the joke is always for him. Yeah, for how he interacts.
Yeah, but then think about...
And Tony Stark is like... Hold on. Tony Stark is like the narcissistic guy who has like a one-track mind, who's like always like... Yeah, and so they're these archetypes, and what comes out of that is just like exactly what you would expect.
That's what storytelling is, though. Storytelling for thousands of years has been archetypes.
But what makes truly great storytelling is when you can break out of that formula.
Sure, fair.
What I'm saying
just because they haven't broken out of it doesn't mean it's bad.
I never said it was bad. I'm saying it doesn't deserve to be like equated to like the best movie ever if it's just the best blockbuster ever.
Right.
I think those are two different things.
They're two different things. They're two different things. So maybe there should...
No, I don't think that they're bad. I don't think that they're bad. Like I said, I've watched them and I find them entertaining, but I find them entertaining for the same reason that I would find many blockbusters entertaining.
Yeah, well, but that's where I'll skew from you there too, because a lot of... If you had any other thing go for 22 films... you'd be like, holy shit, this is getting to be too much. This is getting to be too much. It's because there's so many different characters. They've told so many different stories over so many different time periods in different worlds, and now they all come together for this one final culmination of a film, and it all ties in and makes sense, and there's not too many loopholes.
Yeah.
Okay, like, I'm gonna give it to them. They did a really good job.
No, fair enough. I just
You have
don't
to see
think
Endgame.
that.
You have to see Endgame.
I probably will see it. I probably will. I'm down to see it, and I really don't have that much of a vendetta out against Marvel.
Yeah, you
what
sure,
I'm saying is like,
are you sure?
It's to me, like how people decide to rate content and entertainment today. It's very much in line with how the rest of the industry works. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, there's so many films that I think the storytelling and the dialogue is 10 times better than what it is.
I think it's great for what it's for.
Yeah.
But in the same way, if you want to go back to the same way that like pop music is great for what it's for. That's my thing. Is like I think that it serves a purpose. I don't think that it's all encompassing.
There's a reason why it's pop music. There's a reason why it's called popular music. There's a reason why it's called popular culture.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but popular culture is traditionally more shallow so that it can appeal to the masses. That's how it works.
Yeah, fair.
So like that's what I'm saying. In the same way, I had the same problem. I actually noticed this when The Walking Dead started to get like really popular. I mean, this is just a theory of mine, but once its ratings started to get like really popular, the dialogue started to dumb down.
Well, look at Game of Thrones. It's happening in Game of Thrones as well.
I know.
Same thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't have something super popular trying to appeal to too many people if it's too complicated. It just won't happen.
Well, I think a huge problem there too. I'm gonna back up for a second. I think an enormous problem there, and I was actually reading an article about this today, and I totally agree with something like Game of Thrones. Right? Look at the way that like Tyrion's character was written for the first like 3 or 4 seasons before the show blew up.
Right.
His character was incredible.
Right.
You know, and everyone loved him. He literally, I think he's
kind of turned into like a stereotype of himself.
Look at him in the last episode. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but look at him in the last episode. Tyrion of prior.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking about a character growing, Tyrion in season 1 and season 2 and season 3 would have been doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
In this episode, no, because it's too easy not for the writers.
What happens is when you get popular, you're pigeonholed by like the audience basically. It's like
and
you
the
are
producers.
assuming
the producers are the big ones.
But like
that's what I was getting
to. It's
like,
oh, this worked.
Right.
So we're only going to do that because clearly this works. It's what happened to like Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's a great one, right?
Yeah,
but they're taking power. The higher ups take power away from the writers because now it's so popular that we got to make sure that it stays popular.
Yeah.
But in doing that, they decrease the popularity of it again. It goes up this mountain and it comes right back fucking down.
It happens with everything. It happens with everything
sucks.
Because it's like what started off as like something unique and new gets commodified, and like so if we're like I think it's an error that like the entertainment industry makes generally.
It is. Yes.
It's like the author that I brought up before, Dan Brown. His first novel was Angels and Demons, and his second novel was The Da Vinci Code. But after that, he's just kind of turned into one of those like airport authors of like books that you'll just see at the airport that are just like published every year.
No, I would be very curious to look and see if his editing team has changed, if his publishing company has changed.
And I just noticed the same thing because I just started watching the 4th season of Narcos, which is now Narcos Mexico. So they had Narcos the first season, Narcos the second season, which was the downfall of Pablo Escobar, the 3rd season, which was about the Cali cartel, and now this one they changed focus to the Narcos in Mexico. And it's so like it's still good. In the same and kind of in the same way that I find entertainment in the Marvel movies. It's still good,
but it's predictable.
But it's and all of the dialogue, it's a stereotype of itself.
Yeah.
It seems like the 4th installment of Narcos, and they're just following those same sort of patterns and archetypes.
I think we can come to an agreement on this. In trying, the thing that got them there was their uniqueness, right? The thing that gets something to a popular culture and changes trends is by being unique.
But that's what happens
in the time period.
Everything.
But then the problem is now they've found their unique niche, and they don't want to continue to try and be unique. They're like, okay, we're here in this niche, and we're going to stay in this niche because we're popular.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at it, the same exact things, like every 5 years, this is something that happens with music. Like, so back in like 2011, it was like, oh, Mumford and Sons, right? Like, so there was this like revival of like alternative folk, and then give it like 3 or 4 years, and Mumford and Sons are now mainstream, and everybody's sounding like them, and then something new has to take its place at the fringes.
Right.
And then everything that sounds like that moves to the center, and just like this process.
Right.
That
It was like EDM.
because it's like the moment that something is popular enough to be recognized, it's no longer a fringe on the fringes. And so like it's just the normal process. It's like trends pick up and it gets popular, and then
I think it's different with music than with films, because I think with music at least. That's actually not true.
Music, there are more like sequels in music, because like every artist comes out with new albums. Like not every film gets a sequel or like a series of films. Right. So you have
a little bit more creative.
Yeah.
Films
don't go through periods of genres in the same way.
Fair.
Yeah. Like music goes in like periods of like, oh, this is popular. Everybody's like, films don't go like everybody's filming like this. Not to the extent, to a little bit, but not to the same.
Well, look at something like just to bring it back to Marvel, right? Iron Man, when the first Iron Man came out, it was a fucking hit.
Yeah.
And the reason was because it did something that no other superhero film did before. And not saying that Marvel has gone down. I mean,
what did it do that was different?
It was comical. They added a comedic element to it that wasn't happening, at least for the past 10 years in superhero films. Not that I can remember. You look at something like Spider-Man, like the original Spider-Man, they weren't really funny.
With Tobey Maguire?
Yeah, they weren't really
they had a lightness to them, I thought.
But look at like the third one, right? The third one was dark as shit.
Right.
I don't think that Marvel kind of flipped that on its head and said, okay, we're going to get Robert Downey Jr. in here. We're going to make it. And first of all, just having him come onto the role was a fucking shock factor for everyone.
Yeah.
This guy just coming, back from being in jail for, what was he, a drug addict or whatever the hell he was.
Life that guy had.
Yeah.
He was heavily addicted.
Yeah.
He was an addict. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's why he went to jail or if whatever the whole reasoning was behind that. But that it was a shock factor in and of itself. But then they added a comedic element to it. They changed the way that superhero films were kind of told, and it burst this whole new thing in the Marvel universe, and that's what started the whole Marvel universe.
Right. Yeah,
but now it's the same thing happening.
That's what I'm saying. Is like in the Marvel films that I watch, like, and maybe I have like a unique aperture to look at them because I'm not tied to them, and also because I haven't seen all of them from the beginning. Yeah. So to me, from like an outsider, I'm like, these are kind of all within the same rhythm. Like they're all. To me, it seems like I'm sort of watching the same thing happen over and over
you
again.
are, but I think at least why I watch them, one of the big reasons I watch them, and this is kind of, the things that I love about like Game of Thrones as well, is I love seeing things that happen, like I said, in the first Iron Man film, something will happen, and then then they'll go off on a completely different time period for the next 3 films, and then they'll come back to that time period, and now all of a sudden you're seeing something happen right before that Iron Man film, and you're like, oh,
cool.
fuck.
Right.
That's really cool that they just made that connection. Different directors, different actors, different whatever, but they made that flow somehow, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's just, and certainly like little things like that are like, all right, like nice, but I don't know, like it's like almost every Marvel movie and superhero movie in general is like wow, this archetype of a character is like struggling in his personal life. Now he gets superpowers, and
he changes it all around.
He starts training. He's so not used to it at first, but then within 2 weeks he's a master with the superpowers. It would never happen. And then almost to the last 10 minutes we believe he might lose, and then he wins.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's
and that's fine. That's what I'm saying. It's like there is a formula to it.
Yeah,
and I just don't think that you can say that there's not.
I'm not saying there's not a formula.
I know you're not, but I'm just saying, like, I'm sure that there are people that
I'm saying there's a formula, and there is a formula for sure. They tweak it here and there. In fact,
Infinity Wars was the only one that I've seen that ended where it was like up in the air.
Well, but that's what happens kind of with Endgame as well. You're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't end up in the air. There is a conclusion to it. Infinity War is very much like, what the hell is going to happen next?
Yeah.
But there was a conclusion to Endgame. But the whole time, it was very different than Iron Man 1. It's very different than Captain America. It's very different than Civil War. It's different. They made it differently. Yeah. And I think that's the huge attraction. Is they're figuring out how to change these things.
I also watched the Avengers Age of Ultron this past year. And
I'm not a big Ultron fan.
It's just...
that one is... You picked a bad one.
No, I watched Infinity Wars as well. Like, I watched them.
Yeah.
And it's just... You're trying to do a lot. it's almost like it would be better as an HBO series because like to do so much in 3 hours.
Though that's the problem. You watched Age of Ultron, which is not the first Avengers. I think that's the second Avengers film. But you didn't watch the origin story of Captain America. You didn't watch the origin story of Thor.
I understand that, but even still, even if I watched it like as like a singular movie, as a movie, they're not all one big movie. They're released as single movies.
Right, but they're expecting people to watch the other ones.
As a single movie, it is too much to fit into a 2 or 3 hour. And because of that takes away from it. You know, like a good movie you should be able to just tune into and enjoy and it was enjoyable. What I'm saying is like it appears as being
what you're saying.
Too fast.
I saw this thing on Reddit that was like it was one guy and he was basically like, you know, I hate the Marvel films. That, you know, I hated Endgame. It did not do anything for us casual fans. Blah 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 blah. And someone commented back, and I'm like, yeah. They commented back, and they go, you know, oh, are you mad that in not watching the 21 previous films that literally are tied into a universe that you didn't understand what was happening between certain characters? I'm sorry, they're not gonna in 3 hours. They're not gonna be able to fit in a story that makes sense for people that just haven't seen the other films.
No, I understand.
And I know you've seen the other films and so you have a bit of an upper hand on this guy. But like, I just don't understand how you can sit there and criticize, not you, this guy on Reddit, how you can sit there and criticize literally the culmination of 11 plus years of the same universe. The same exact universe.
Right.
You haven't. That's like saying turning to the last page of a book and being like, I don't fucking get it.
No,
like,
I understand.
You don't get
I understand, and I get that side of it. I just think that regardless, I think it's ambitious to do in a short period of time. And I think that either way, like I personally think that even if I have seen all the films, I would still feel that way. That it was just too much going on in a singular film.
Maybe, but I think you'd understand the characters a little bit more. You wouldn't have to question certain dialogues between Hulk and Thor.
But the other part about that is like, so like I watched also both Ant-Mans this year. Mm-hmm. Like I watched both of those, and you're saying like I feel like you would understand the characters a bit more. It's like there's not much there for me to understand.
Well, like Ant-Man is a little
different. But I've also seen the Iron Man films.
All three of them?
Yeah, I've seen all 3 Iron Man films, and it's for all of them that I feel. And like I saw Thor, and I also watched this year Thor Ragnarok as well.
I think we watched that together.
Yeah, I think we did, and it's like, okay, yeah, like it was funny, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I see how this plays into like the universe, like I see the piece of this, but from my perspective of like, well, you know, like you just said, like you don't understand like the character interactions. It's like, I mean, I do. It's just to me, it's not that substantial. Like,
no, they're not. You're not, if you go looking for the Marvel films to like to watch like fucking amazing dialogue, you're gonna leave disappointed.
Right. And what I'm saying is like, while it's an accomplishment to have 22 films culminate to one ending film, if those 22 films are all relatively shallow, how much of an accomplishment is it really?
But see that's where I'll skew from you again. I just don't think they're relatively shallow. I think that they're maybe some of them, but if you look at something like you know, Captain America: Winter Soldier is a fan-fucking-tastic film. Civil War is a great film.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Captain America film.
The Captain America ones are the best ones. Winter Soldier is like highly touted as one of the best Marvel films. Civil War is one of the best ones. That's when you're really gonna. There's certain ones you can understand their backstories, but then you also have to see how they interact with each other when they first meet each other, and there's just a whole. I mean, it's literally a universe, and if you go into the universe and you only go to one planet, you're not going to capture the entire fucking canvas of the image that you're trying to understand from this one thing. You just got to see the spectrum. And
I understand like that approach to it. What I'm saying is, I guess my main thing is like, I'm not sure. Like it's an accomplishment, like for sure, to create something like so ambitious and so many hours of film and so much money and like, no doubt. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure it's as intricate and like profound as people are making it out to be.
No, I mean, some people are saying it's the best film ever, and that's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
But
you can't dismiss, like, I'm not going to be one of those guys that's like, fucking stupid. Like, it's not like, who
Yeah,
cares?
that was
like,
this guy
like,
on
it's
Reddit.
like you can't be like that. I mean, it's it's going to be the top grossing film of all time.
Yeah,
and
they already made $2 billion.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as blockbusters go, which are primarily about building up momentum to a massive climax,
right?
They did this over a wide spectrum of time, right? So the entirety of it follows the blockbuster formula in like hours and hours of film. So I think like what I credit the Marvel films for is perfecting that genre. That's what I give them.
Yeah. Well, and I'll take it back to this one more time, and then we'll just move on to the headlines. But you like what you said about Infinity War is, I think them.
I haven't seen it. Oh yeah.
You didn't see Infinity War.
I didn't see Endgame. Yeah.
They took, just like very much like Game of Thrones, when something like the Red Wedding happens, right? Or something like when Ned Stark, everything happens to him in that first season.
Yeah.
Is they took that and they flipped it on its head. So, of saying like, oh, we're a good guy and we don't really have any superpowers, and we found our superpowers but we're figuring it out, and now we're super strong, and then now we've got to fight the bad guy. The bad guy almost wins, and then nope, we win. They took that and they flipped that whole thing on its head. And that's why I think something like Infinity War was, I mean, the Marvel films were big before Infinity War, but Infinity War is really what was like, holy shit, because they did something that hasn't been done before in these sorts of films. They took the blockbuster mentality, the superhero film mentality, and they said, we're going to cut that off. I mean, literally and figuratively, we're going to cut that. Yeah. And we're going to change how that fucking goes. And I think that's what I credit them for.
I'd have to see. And I'm not judging Endgame as a film. I haven't seen it.
Endgame is phenomenal.
I have to see it to like make an assessment on like, because honestly, seeing Endgame will probably affect my.
It's gonna affect your opinion of Infinity War.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. So I have to see it.
Yeah.
So my main, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion, is that Marvel is the perfect blockbuster.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And that's kind of it. It's the perfect blockbuster in the same way that
nothing more, nothing less.
In the same way that like, and this is what I was getting at the very beginning of this conversation. The same way that like Khalid is like a perfect pop album or something like that. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
I just think that's a rational approach to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a blockbuster, and you can't take it for anything more than that, and you can't take it for anything less. But enjoy it. And to be honest, if you want to talk about it
for like a couple minutes, because Game of Thrones also had the battle last weekend, which was like the White Walker battle that everybody's been waiting for. For like, again, we have Marvel that's been happening for the past 10 years. We have Game of Thrones that's been, and both of them somehow land on the same weekend of this like meeting.
It was crazy,
which is wild.
Also awesome.
I just think Game of Thrones, a lot of what you're saying that you like about Marvel, Game of Thrones does it 10 times better.
Yeah,
but
except
it's because
I think
they're a television show.
I also went back and watched the last episode again.
Yeah.
And I've also done a bit of reading on the last episode. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think after rewatching and really thinking about that last episode, the whole producer aspect and we've got to make sure we get it right and not piss anyone off and play to the audience and everything, I think they hit a major flop.
Why? I'm curious.
I think they could have written that episode so much better in many ways. I mean, I could go into all of them. I don't want to spoil it.
No, it's okay. You can talk. We get spoiler alert. If you spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, stop listening right now.
Yeah, okay.
Pause
there you go. Pause it and skip maybe 5 minutes or whatever.
Okay, so now you can talk about it.
There's just so many different ways that they could have gone with that, and also so many holes in the way that they did things.
Yeah.
In terms of, first of all, in terms of battlements, like right, why the fuck are you sending out guys on horses into the pitch black?
Well, I have flaming swords.
Why wouldn't you use the dragons immediately?
Yeah.
Like, why are you waiting on the dragons?
Yeah.
Why do you have your fucking catapults literally in front of everyone, so that's the first thing that gets destroyed?
Yeah.
And also, nobody knew Melisandre was gonna fucking light up the swords and everything. Those weren't dragon glass or Valyrian steel swords.
Oh, they weren't?
No. So
why not?
Right. Because they're Dothraki and they use their sickle things, right?
Yeah.
But if she didn't do that, there was no point in them being in that battle.
Yeah.
0 point.
Well, the other thing is just like Melisandre is just like, oh, she's here now. You know, it's like there's a lot of like liberties like that. It's like, Arya made it to the Night King just in time.
Right.
Which is like obviously for drama purposes. Like you have to give them that. It is a television show.
Right, but
then there's like other things like they're just like so like
Game of Thrones of old would have killed off a major character, and
they would have killed off more characters. Before. And also like Daenerys, who's like never wielded a sword, is fighting the like all of a sudden like
is very good with the sword.
Right,
she's never wielded
and
one.
Like Theon is able to fight off thousands of White Walkers
with a bow and arrow, and they have no ground levelment. They're not on higher ground.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a lot like that it's like all right, like and the thing is, it's like okay, like you have to give them that.
You got to suspend your disbelief.
Otherwise, like, come on, like they'd all be dead if in reality if they were going to do that like authentically with the amount of White Walkers there'd actually be.
Yeah,
they would all die.
But I think that they could have gone. I think they got whoever wrote the way that it went. Just they kind of like thought, oh yeah, this is how it's gonna go, and then nobody questioned it.
Yeah.
And I think that if someone sat back, if the writers of old, of season 1, season 2, and season 3, if they came in and said, this is how we're gonna do it, I think it would have been a much more enticing, a much more heart-stopping, a much more like I have no idea what's gonna happen next. The only thing that I didn't know was gonna happen there was Arya.
Well, to be honest, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know who was going to die. I had no idea.
No, but 10 minutes into the episode, I did know exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Once you see like someone like Brienne, right? She gets fucking smothered by White Walkers.
Yeah.
Sam gets smothered by White Walkers and doesn't die. You're like, okay. They're good.
They're not gonna die.
They're good. What are we watching? We might as well skip to 90 minutes in and see what happens here.
And like they killed off like they're killing off fringe characters. Like and also, but I mean there are nice things about it too. It's like okay, like those characters like Theon and Jorah are these characters that were like redemption characters,
right?
So now they've redeemed themselves.
They completed their arc.
Die.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, but yeah, and so
listen. I'm not saying I didn't like the episode because I liked the episode, and I've watched it twice, so I clearly liked the episode, right?
No, yeah, I mean nobody can deny that it's entertaining.
Yeah, I just think that they could have. The old writers would have been a little bit more creative with how they did things, even like in the way that Arya. You know, they didn't show any way that Arya got there or did anything. Yeah. Now there's been theories of like, oh, Jon was actually distracting the dragon by, and I watched it back with headphones on, and he's saying go. He's telling Arya to go into the thing because the next shot is the wisp of the White Walker's hair, and then the next shot is her coming up over the thing, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So there's, they did kind of show it a little bit, but they could have done it smarter. Let's just as an example, Arya could have been in the fucking tree.
Yeah.
Why isn't Arya in the tree?
Also, how did no White Walker notice her? Like, how did she get around that surrounding field of White Walkers? There were like hundreds surrounding that area.
Right. Well, she's a secret assassin and everything, but I just think that the Game of Thrones before the mainstreamness of it would have done
I said that on
a wee bit better of a job.
I said that on our live stream. As of last season, the writing changed a lot.
Yes.
The writing changed a lot because they needed to start speeding shit up. And so they had to start taking more liberties and just hoping the audience would like give that to them.
Right.
And
would just catch on.
And they had, to some extent, it's like once they decided like we have a deadline for when we need to wrap this up, you have to figure out how to get there.
Right.
You start at A, you have to figure out to get the Walking Dead got really bad like that too.
Yeah, but there was no real end game there.
For a different reason. Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, but I've liked this season of Game of Thrones much more than the last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they last season was very much like okay, we're en route to get
fillers. Yeah.
It's like everything they had to get out of the way, and now they position themselves and like they realize basically that they have to wrap this up in X amount of episodes. So they used last season to like speed things along.
Yeah.
And now they're right where they want to be, so that they can take their time.
Right.
Again.
Right.
And make like the season they want to make.
Tonight's episode is going to be very interesting. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with episode 4 through 6. I'm also there's so many different theories. I don't think it's going to end. Hopefully, and now this is going back to the whole. Are they going to fucking fall into the mainstream trap of just doing what everyone expects? Oh, Cersei's going to die. Someone's going to kill Cersei. Someone's going to take the. I think that it like. Here's a theory that I saw. Okay, you ready for this shit?
Yeah.
Bronn he's the three-eyed raven. Yes, we're aware of that. He's a three-eyed raven. The three-eyed raven is the actual real enemy this entire time. And the three-eyed raven plotted to have the Night King go up against everyone and take everyone out. Had the Night King come down so that they could take out the Night King because they were the only ones that could take out the Night King. And now Bronn is the actual enemy of the entire show. Why
are people saying that, though?
Because
what's behind that?
Because the three-eyed raven, if you think back to the history of Game of Thrones, right? Like, now I'm going to flub something here in terms of the history. But the, what are they? The Children of the Forest?
Yep.
They created the Night King. Mm-hmm. Now, the Children of the Forest are with the three-eyed raven, right? They created the Night King to stop the Andals, or the men that were coming in. They needed something to stop the men from invading. So they created the White Walkers and the Night King. Inadvertently, they created a monster. Now, the three-eyed raven and the Children of the Forest have no way of stopping this force that they've created, the Night King. So the three-eyed raven is now plotting to have the Andals do his job for him and wipe out the Night King. And now he's going to figure out a way, in controlling Bronn, a way to wipe out humanity. All men must die, right? That's the whole...
Yeah.
I just think something like that would be, if they did it right. Now, I'm explaining it in layman's terms here. But if they did it right, it could be fucking phenomenal. And the writers of season 3 and season 4, like of the good seasons, would do a really good job with that. Yeah. And they would make it so, like, by episode 6, everyone's dead, and you're like, oh, holy shit.
That's been my prediction, that everybody dies. Because I think that's the best way to end it.
Is everyone dies.
Not everyone dies, or a lot of people die.
Right.
Because otherwise, it's not realistic. Like, otherwise, it's like, already, like, as of last episode,
it's not realistic.
It's like, come on, there were so many people that could have died.
Right.
You know?
Well, Sam, you can go down the list. Jaime, Brienne, they all should have fucking died. They were all in a situation at one point where they were literally being smothered by whites.
Right.
You know, like, come on.
And the other funny part about it is, too, is, like, prior to this battle, like, whenever somebody encountered a White Walker, they were, like, dead. Even if it was like one of them.
Right. Well, that's, yeah.
You know,
right. They had such a hard, Jon had such a hard time with that one fucking thing in the box. Yeah. You know, remember when they captured the White Walker or the white, and they put him in the box and everything? Yeah. That thing couldn't even break out of that wooden box. He couldn't even get out of the wooden box. Now they're all of a sudden breaking out of stone crypts.
Right.
You know, it's just certain things where you're like, I see what you're doing and I accept it. But I think you could have done it a little bit better if you had a little bit better of time, a little bit more time, and a little bit better writing to go along with that time. Yeah. I don't know. I hope that they do it justice in the last 3 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Do you want to move on to some headlines now that I'm done ranting?
It's the headlines.
Time for the headlines.
All right. So
what the hell?
This is
my headlines didn't save.
Lame.
The fuck? I'll just go back and I'll find.
Wait, can I not read this? Only subscribers are. Oh, come on. All right. Well,
you read yours.
I'll read this one. We don't have access to the full fucking
article
thing because you need to subscribe. But here's the headline, and I just love headlines like this. It's not even particularly ridiculous. Mm-hmm. You just have to sit and reflect for a moment on this headline. Okay. It's from The Telegraph.
Okay.
I married myself, and it was truly empowering. You know what I mean? It's awesome. It's not a ridiculous headline. It's just
but it is a ridiculous headline.
And people that read this, they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People that read this are like, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I bet I would feel the same way if
I don't have access to the whole thing, but let me read the first paragraph.
Okay.
The idea to marry myself. The idea to marry myself came to me in January last year when I was at work one day. 3 weeks before, on Christmas Eve, I had received a text message from my boyfriend of 5.5 years. I can't do this anymore. It's over. All right, dick. Honestly, who does that? I was a 42-year-old with 2 children, and I had already been divorced twice. It was devastating and left me in a funk, unable to eat, sleep, or smile. My ex used to say to me, "You can get married, darling, but it won't be to me." It suddenly struck me that he was right. I could get married to myself.
Hold on. That's your next thought?
Hey,
honey,
you know what?
Honey, listen, it's just not going to work out between us. You're going to have to find someone else. Oh, well, it's me then. Could you imagine like having that? You're sick in the head. You're little sick in the head.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, okay, at first I got saw that guy's text. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Hey, if this woman's next step is, I guess I'll marry myself, you're crazy. You need some help. The boyfriend was running away from you.
Yeah.
You wanna know why? Because you didn't just consider it. You married yourself.
How does now where's the next? Are you gonna fuck yourself? Are you gonna where are we going with this?
Hey man, it's empowering.
How far are you gonna take it?
You don't need somebody else to get married.
Are
okay?
you
do it on your own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's empowering.
Asexual.
You don't need a better half. You just need yourself.
Well, if you have no good halves, I think you need at least one good half.
All right. So listen, this woman you were broken up with because you're crazy.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Speaking of crazy, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Vampire facial at New Mexico spa tied to 2 HIV cases.
So, I saw this. What was it? Can you read a little bit about that?
Yes, I will read the first few paragraphs here. Health officials are investigating 2 cases of HIV among clients who received injection-related procedures, including, quote, vampire facials. Whatever the fuck that means. The New Mexico Department of Health announced on Monday that laboratory tests indicated that the 2 clients were infected with the same virus, increasing the likelihood that the infections may have resulted from his procedure at the spa. No shit. Let me see if I can find where it says what the fuck a vampire facial.
That's why it's scary to get tattoos. It's really a good place.
Yeah. You can make sure everything is clean. A vampire facial, also known as a plasma-rich protein facial, involves injecting nutrient-rich plasma into the skin on your face using a tool called a microneedling pen. The plasma typically comes from your own blood. When done safely and properly, a vampire facial should not expose clients to any such bloodborne infections and is promoted to rejuvenate the face so the skin looks younger. So in trying to look younger, now you're gonna die.
Dude, people, I feel like...
You're not gonna die, but...
For the most part,
that's horrible.
Are we, getting better collectively at just, accepting that we're gonna get old? I feel like how many people are getting plastic surgery and shit still? A lot.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh my god. Do
people know that doesn't look good?
No,
That's my thing with people. It's you look way worse when you get that done than if you just let yourself age naturally.
Listen to this one. I saw a fucking article. I wish I had it here, where now they have fat people. Okay, and instead of doing liposuction or doing tummy tucks or whatever the fuck you want to do, now they're taking that fat and they're just sculpting it into a 6-pack of fat.
Oh, I saw that. And it's just fat, but it looks like a 6-pack.
But it looks like a 6-pack.
Okay, so the part of the reason I think that 6-packs are attractive is because they're hard.
Well,
because they're solid muscle. If you go and touch that, it's just pouches of fat.
That's one reason. The other reason is it shows that you're fucking healthy. And as organisms, we like to mate with healthy things.
Yeah.
If I see you have a 6-pack of fat, I'm like, you're a narcissistic fuck.
Oh my God.
And you're unhealthy.
Hey, go for a walk.
Right. Maybe do 20 sit-ups a day. Try.
Hey, man, eat a carrot. Get some celery.
An apple a day keeps the 6-pack at bay.
Stop being a piggy. That's the problem with these people. They're all being piggies.
Well, they don't want to change their habits, but they want to have the best results.
Right.
They think that these people that they look at that have incredible bodies, oh no, I could do that if I just went, did this. No, there's work involved there.
Right.
That's a lifestyle that you have to adopt. You can't just they'll do one thing, they'll do those 20 push-ups, so they'll eat a fucking apple a day, and they think that they're just gonna miraculously get in shape and healthy, and it's no, you have to change your life.
Yeah, you're just a fat pig. Straight up, don't be a fat pig.
Ooh, Grant getting fucking testy.
I'm serious, I don't know. I was listening to a podcast, and the host of the podcast was talking, and he was like, "Are you a foodie or are you just a fat pig?" Are you a foodie or is that just a cute way of saying you're just a fat piggy?
Some people have genetic disorders where there's things that they can't help, right?
I know.
But there's the vast majority is You just eat too much.
The vast majority, you're just a piggy.
Right. You just eat less and you'll be better off.
Am I fat shaming right now?
I think we both are.
Okay. Fat shaming is not a thing. Unless you can't. Here's the thing.
You can't make fun of people by calling them piggies.
No, you can.
Might be a little bit of shaming
what I'm saying is, I would never call somebody that's just fat a fat piggy. The people that I'm calling fat piggies.
You just did.
No. Hear me out. I'm calling people that are like complaining about being fat,
right,
but not doing anything about it.
Right.
I'm saying the problem is you fat piggy.
Right. I mean, it's basically the same thing, except they're just complaining.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, I would never generally shame anybody for being just fat.
Right.
Like, I would get bothered when somebody starts being like, I don't understand why I'm fat.
Right.
When you're eating too many Yinglings.
The other thing too is if you
when you got a fridge full of Twinkies.
Enough.
Anyway, speaking of being fat, my next headline, I'm going to show this to the camera. Teens blackface bake sale.
I saw this.
Dessert sparks anger. Let me show what this looks like.
Oh my god.
Can sort of see. It's like a cupcake with black icing.
A very bad cupcake.
Looks like a black face. Doesn't look like a cupcake. Let's read a little bit about this. Students in high school cooking class allegedly decorated a chocolate dessert as blackface and sold it at a bake sale. Why? Why are you doing this?
Right.
That was hurtful to our staff and students' color. Okay. A bunch of white girls at my school made a blackface chocolate. All right, so here's the thing. You think the white girls were actually meant to do that, you think? Or do you think it just ended up looking like it and people flipped out?
It was probably the latter. I don't think anyone in their right mind in today's day and age is going to fucking purposely be like, let's make a cupcake that looks really ugly and also make it look like a black face and let's get in trouble for it. It's not really on anyone's agenda.
I would hope. Here's the best part of this whole story.
Oh, no.
They named it.
Oh, fuck. See, now that takes away my whole theory.
No.
You can't name it.
No. The best part about all of this.
What did they name it? Oh, no.
They named it Alfonso.
What?
They named the blackface cupcake Alfonso.
Why? Well,
to me, that's in their defense because Alfonso is not a black name.
But why are you naming your cupcakes? You're doing that is not in their defense. You're naming it. Just don't fucking name it. Just don't give it a name. That's not necessary.
Wait, but how scary is this thing now that you know its name is Alfonso?
Hey, I'm Alfonso. Look at me. Horrible, man. That's horrible.
That's so funny.
All right. I got a little bit more of a serious one. And at first when I read it, I was like, this is ridiculous. And they're just trying to find something. But then I read a little bit more into it and I was like, holy fuck, the Russians are crazy.
Another Russian one?
Another Russian one.
They need it, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But it's different. It's very different. Whale harassing Norwegian boats may be a Russian operative. So there's a picture. I'll show this picture as well. There's a picture of literally a whale with a strap around it. I'll show the stream. There you go. If you're just listening, I'm just showing you guys what the fucking whale looks like. But it's, what is it, a beluga whale? Is that what the thing is?
Yeah, it's a beluga whale.
Yeah. Marine experts in Norway believe they have stumbled upon a white whale that was trained by the Russian Navy as part of a program to use underwater mammals as a special ops force.
That's cool.
There should be a fucking TV show about that, like a cartoon. Spec Ops whale.
I think we need more TV shows just about Russia because Russia is so crazy.
Yo, they're crazy, man. So this is it kind of goes into a little bit of a detail. When I first read it, I was like, oh my god, this is literally a whale that is being tracked, and now they're playing it off like it's fucking Russians spying on them, and all it is they're just tracking it. But we were going to put our nets when we saw a whale swimming between our boats. It came over to us, and as it approached, we saw that it had some sort of harness on it. The strange behavior of the whale, which was actively seeking out the vessels and trying to pull straps and ropes from the sides of the boats, as well as the fact it was wearing a tight harness, which seemed to be for a camera or weapon. And the words inside the harness say equipment of St. Petersburg. And we know, I guess, according to the Russians, we know that in Russia they have had domestic whales in captivity, and also that some of these have apparently been released. Then they often seek out our boats. So the Russians, it sounds to me like the Russians literally fucking trained a whale to spy.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
You think so?
I think that's really cool.
Why do you say it's cool? Explain.
I think it's a cool tactic to take.
I think it's, well, yeah, but it's also
scary
as fuck.
I think it's very impressive.
It's scary as shit.
There are many scary things that are impressive.
It's like the fucking game. What if Varys is always talking about his little fucking birdies that talk to him and shit?
Yeah.
This is the Russians' little fucking birdies, except it's whales.
Yeah, I mean,
that's scary, man.
I'm not scared by that.
Okay, so here's another thing. Dolphins and seals, meanwhile, were trained to carry tools for divers and detect torpedoes, mines, and other ammunition which is sunk to the depths of up to 100.
This is not something new, dude. This is not something new.
That's what it's saying.
The U.S. Army back in Vietnam had like a program to train like chimpanzees to like seek out mines or something.
Right.
Like it's not new for the army to like try to train animals to do certain things.
Here we go. In the past 3 years, President Vladimir Putin has reopened 3 former Soviet military bases along its vast Arctic coastline. The Russian Navy has again, here we go. The mail program closed in the 90s. However, a 2017 report by TV Zvezda, a station owned by the Defense Ministry, revealed that the Russian Navy has again been training beluga whales, seals, and bottlenose dolphins for military purposes in polar waters.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing.
Right. That's
amazing.
What I'm saying.
But it's a testament to how fucking smart these animals are.
Yeah, it is.
That's
cool.
Nuts.
Just on the topic of Russia, I heard this yesterday, and I wanted to read this to you because it's so funny, and I don't know if you know this.
Okay.
But the title, like the name of the story is, did you know Vladimir Putin stole a Super Bowl ring from the Patriots' Robert Kraft?
Yeah.
You know this.
I know that, yeah.
Okay, well, I want to know if our listeners know this because in 2005, Patriots owner Robert Kraft was in Russia.
Yeah.
And a friend who was with Sandy
He's
Wheel,
like touted it.
Yeah, a friend who was the president of Citigroup at the time of the trip. Kraft had just received his Super Bowl ring. After seeing it, Wheel had what turned out to be a horrible idea. He asked him to show the ring to Putin because I guess they were with him.
Putin's just like, it's mine now.
Yeah. So that's what happened. And here's the exact quote. I took out the ring and showed it to Putin, and he put it on and goes, I can kill someone with this ring.
What?
Kraft said in 2013, and then I put my hand out, and he put it in his pocket, and 3 KGB guys got around him and walked away.
There you go. I was gonna say, what are you gonna do? Can you imagine?
Despite the fact that Putin walked off with the ring, Kraft still wanted the $25,000 piece of jewelry returned. However, this is the craziest part. However, he ended up giving up on his quest to get the ring back when White House called and told Kraft that starting World War III all over a Super Bowl ring probably wouldn't be the best idea. And the White House, this came from the White House, this is their exact quote.
This is Bush at that time.
Yeah.
So
it would really be in the best interest of U.S.-Soviet relations if you meant to give the ring as a present.
That just shows how fucking scary Russia really is.
Putin just like, it's mine now.
Exactly.
Give me the ring.
It's mine. It's mine. You don't get back.
So,
I champion.
There are people that say that like maybe it was like a miscommunication, and that like because there was broken language that maybe he thought that he was giving him the ring. But like,
no.
All right, but how baller do you have to be to just take the ring and put it in your pocket and walk away?
Right, and then put your 3 KGB guys around him and say, if you walk that way, I walk this way.
That to me is like one of the craziest stories ever. Like, what an insane story.
It shows Putin gives 0 fucks. Like, he doesn't care at all.
He's a gangster, dude.
He's a gangster. He's also a highly trained military official.
Yeah.
He's in hand-to-hand combat.
He puts
fucking
on a ring
nuts.
And goes, the first thought he has is, I can kill someone with this.
Right.
That's a scary motherfucker.
Right. He's
also a black belt.
He's in judo.
Judo. It's judo.
Is it judo?
Yeah.
I know, but he trains in all. Listen, the Russians, they don't fuck around. I don't know if anyone has ever watched any of the Russians fight in the UFC. They're the scariest. They will die in that ring.
It's because they wrestle bears from when they're like 5 years old.
Yeah, that's Khabib. Wrestles bears in Dagestan.
It's like their culture, the wrestling bears.
Well, they're tough motherfuckers. They live like they lived in like fucking 1300.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what they do. over here, we say that we'll die in the octagon, but we ain't dying in the octagon. Khabib would die in the octagon.
Well, they're tough people, man.
Yeah.
Well, and they're tough because they had like the hardest century.
Well, they're incredibly poor in terms
what I'm
of
saying is, like,
the people.
They probably have suffered more than any other country within the past 200 years.
Yeah. Right.
And they also live in like the harshest climate.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things that play into it that's just like, and then you have people here with their complaints about silly little things.
Right. It makes it look so ridiculous.
So sensitized to things.
Right.
That are like, did you really just respond to my text with K?
Excuse me, did you just step on my shoe? Excuse me?
Did you
That's
really
why
just
whenever
give me
I hear
a one-word answer?
Whenever I hear someone say like, "Oh, dude, I'd beat the fuck out of him," I'm like, he could be a Russian. You have no idea. You have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
You know, like the person across me that you think you could kill might be able to just literally murder you.
So wild. Okay.
You got a nice headline, Grant?
Yeah, I think I have one more. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know if I want to read that one. I don't know. Okay. Accidentally swallowed an AirPod. Still works after passing through a man's system.
I saw this the other day.
Man from Taiwan fell asleep with the AirPods still in his ear, but woke up unable to find one of them, only discovered later that he had swallowed it while sleeping. Okay.
You know what that means to me? You want to know what that means to me? That means that dude eats his fucking earwax. That's what that means. He picked that shit out of his ear while he was sleeping, thinking it's his fucking earwax. But nah, bro, that was your AirPod.
See, that's not where my brain goes. Where my brain goes is that somebody put it in his mouth.
What?
He fell asleep and somebody took the thing out. He probably was sleeping with his mouth open because he's snoring.
But then to swallow it, you'd wake right up if you didn't do it yourself.
No, I don't think so, man. And all you have to do is push the chin up and your tongue will naturally swallow it. That's what happened, dude. That's what happened, dude. It was a Russian.
It was a Russian.
It was a Russian. He was like, "This will be funny." And
but the other thing about that whole story is, hold on, that passed through your system. You shit that thing out, and then you decided, hey, let's see if it can go back in my ear and work again.
Dude, you ever feel like shitting's kind of like giving birth?
I feel like if there's any woman that listen to us, which is highly unlikely.
Women, poll. Do you ever feel like shitting's kind of like giving birth?
I feel like they're gonna probably want to slap you. In fact,
Why?
I feel like if your girlfriend hears this,
why?
She's gonna slap you.
She's never given birth.
Yeah, but that's horrible.
Why?
It's absolutely nothing. Do you take shits this big?
Something grows and I take shits that are like pretty big.
You take these? You like a baby's head?
No, not like a baby's head, but pretty damn big, and that thing grows inside of you like a little fetus. And
but okay, Grant, I'm not even gonna.
No, I'm serious, man.
Yeah.
I feel like some of my larger shits.
You must not shit for like weeks.
The closest that I'll ever get to giving birth, and that's very sad for me.
I think you need to figure out what the hell is going on in your anus and in your intestines.
I think you need to figure out what the hell's going on in your anus. Right, man?
Because my shits aren't that large.
No, but on the real though, and then like it comes out and you're like kind of proud of it, like a baby.
That does happen.
Like you're kind of proud of it
when you
and then you're like, is it a boy or a girl?
When you plop a good one, you look back at it and you're like, nah, that was me.
You wanna know why?
I did that.
Because it's kind of like giving birth. And you have that same sense of satisfaction. You grew that.
Vastly different.
No, dude, you grew it inside of you. It came out like a baby. And you're proud of it. You want to know if it's a little baby boy or girl.
Did it take 9 months to grow?
And you start thinking of names for it, and you start romanticizing of if it's going to be a prodigy violin player or something like that.
You're the type of person that puts blackface on a fucking cupcake.
I would never do that. Don't say that about me.
Well,
however,
you're talking about naming your little fucking poop.
Okay. First, there's many things wrong with that statement. The first is not little. Not little.
All right, you're large.
And it's actually a child.
You're large-ish poop. You're naming it.
No, it's more like the size of a newborn.
Jesus, man. What the fuck are you eating?
It's the size of a newborn. And when you come out, I imagine when it comes out, not just me, anybody, I imagine the sense of satisfaction is very similar to giving birth to a human.
I hope there's no other human that takes that large of shits. I hope that is strictly your asshole.
I think that
this podcast has turned horribly awry.
I think that it's very sad that the closest that men will ever get
here we go.
to having a child is pooping.
You think that's sad?
Yes.
Why do you think that's sad? Explain.
I just think it's an experience that the closest we can get to is pooping.
Are you saying that you're oppressed because you don't get to have a kid?
I'm saying that the closest that I get to
Grant
have a kid,
is saying he is oppressed because he doesn't experience
I'm speaking
childbirth.
on behalf of all men, saying, hey, that's something that we can just never experience. That is a realm that we will never know of. And I don't think it's wrong for me to romanticize about it with my shit.
Moving on.
Do you confirm or deny?
I don't do either. I'm not even going to touch.
You
shit.
And then sometimes it's got the very ripe smell to it, and you're like,
all right, man, what are you eating? It's just, you got a ripe smell coming from your ass?
You know how, like, babies have a smell? It's kind of like that.
Ew. That's
it smells like a wet baby.
Like a formula smell?
No, it smells like baby's breath.
Babies smell like formula.
It smells like a placenta.
You're not even around babies. What are you talking about? You avoid babies like the plague.
It's kind of like a placenta.
All right, enough. All right, fucking Grant D'Elia. Here, I'm moving on. I'm talking about the next fucking headline here. Jesus Christ. All right, motorist. This is my last one. I was gonna choose this. It was either between a turtle and a hash brown, and I chose the turtle.
Okay.
Motorist lucky enough to be uninjured by turtle that flew through the air and shattered his windshield.
That sucks.
How? How did the turtle come through the air?
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand how it here it is. A South Carolina motorist was left shell-shocked when a turtle run over by the truck in front of him came shooting from under that vehicle. So this thing literally fucking kicked up a turtle and sent it through his windshield. Is your shit as big as this turtle?
I'd have to see the turtle. Could be bigger than that.
Bigger than that?
Bigger than that.
You have a massive baby, bro. No baby's bigger than that.
My baby's bigger than that.
Oh no.
My baby boy.
What is this podcast even becoming? First we started by talking about serious things, and now we've devolved into Grant's
This is just
poops.
a thought that I had earlier today.
Your poop?
And I got yes.
You think about your poop?
Yes.
All the time?
No.
Sometimes.
Earlier today.
While you're pooping?
No, after I gave birth to it. I'm going to start saying that. That's my new thing.
Hold on, I got to go to the bathroom. Why are you going? I got to give birth.
Yes. Yes, because it's the same.
Yeah?
Yes.
Dude, I think you need to get it checked out. I think you might have like some real constipation issues. You might want to eat some more bread.
No. Everybody that listens to this, everybody has to start saying if they're going to poop, they're giving birth.
You know what the difference is? You can take a fucking laxative for your poop. I don't think you can take a laxative.
What would you call Plan B, dude?
Huh? That's not the same. What? You could have said so many different things, and you chose Plan B.
What do you call Plan
B? They
have
dude? Dilating medicine that they do during childbirth that makes it easier. You could have easily gone there, and you went.
B, you just get rid of it.
But no, there's nothing there to get rid of. Plan B just prevents. You're okay, Grant. Okay.
You just get an abortion.
Oh no, we're not going there.
Abortion's kind of like taking a shit.
We're not abortion. Whoa.
What? Wait,
whoa.
What, dude?
Rewind.
What, dude? Every time you go to the bathroom, you have to say, "I'm getting an abortion."
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my God, I'm embarrassed to do a podcast with you. I'm embarrassed to share a fucking. I'm embarrassed
All right,
to share.
Fine, not that. But every time you go to the bathroom, you have to go say, "I'm going to give birth." In the toilet.
I have to.
That's the rule. If you want to play the game.
Maybe you should start screaming like you're giving childbirth when you're in the bathroom.
I very well could.
I've never heard that, so.
I could, though.
I'll be
if
interested.
you want me to start, I can.
I would love to hear your childbirth.
It might actually, because I'm so dead set on replicating the childbirth experience, I will do that.
It would make it much more realistic for the audience.
And if you want, you can hold my hand.
Yeah?
Are
your legs going to be up?
Or, yes, I can put my legs up, and you can stand at the bottom, and I'll shit right in your face.
Yeah.
No,
I think the better idea...
flying baby shit
the better
will come
idea
flying at your face.
What we should do is we should get your girlfriend. I know she would love this. Okay, Julie, when you listen, and if
she
you
never
listen,
listens to this.
She's totally gonna listen, and she's gonna
not.
hate you.
No.
This is your breakup song, okay? She's gonna be the one that is gonna put your legs up, and she's gonna have to deliver your baby.
I hope that one day my child listens to this and knows how much I care,
and knows that you think of
I
them
hope
as
that one day
you literally think of your child as a piece of shit.
I hope that one day my child listens to this and goes, Tata, what is that?
Hold on, baby impression again.
Tata, what's it?
See that?
Tata, do babies come on my butt?
This is why
I'm gonna say,
tell.
and I'm gonna say, if it's a boy, I'm gonna say yes. If it's a boy, I'm gonna say yes, son, they do.
Oh my God, you're setting your kid up for failure. You're gonna be a horrible parent.
I don't want.
You're gonna be a horrible parent.
I don't want him to go through life not experiencing something like that. Like giving birth. So I'm gonna say, you
know what happens
when I got Papa? Is that baby?
If you
I'm
do
gonna
that,
say yes, son.
And your kid's gonna be a serial killer. That's what's gonna happen there. Grant is gonna raise a serial killer, and it all stems from him telling his kid that him pooping is giving a fucking.
All right.
Moving on to unpopular opinions, as if Grant hasn't had enough of them already today.
Woo!
Oh, Jesus Christ. Unpopular opinions. I couldn't move on from that fast enough.
I don't know why you got on that topic in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. My brain just kind of goes all over the place when we do these podcasts, you know?
Yeah.
It starts to get really hairy up there.
Anyway, it's the unpopular opinions. What? Wait, what?
No, enough, man. Enough. This. If you guys think this is strictly how he acts on the podcast, be around our apartment.
Oh, I like this one. Okay, graveyards are useless and a waste of space. Also, we have moved on to unpopular opinions.
Yes,
we're done with the headlines.
Yes.
Okay. Graveyards are useless and a waste of space. Agreed. 1000% agree.
I agree with that as well. I think now, yes, I agree. There's something sentimental about graveyards. I enjoy going with my mother and visiting my great grandmother's grave.
Hey, man, that's a little weird. You enjoy going to graveyards?
Not enjoy it, but it's nice to pay respects.
Okay, that's fine.
But
you
I
can
think
do that not in a graveyard.
Well,
though.
there's also a way to do it in that. This idea I think is the best thing in the world. Let's just fucking plant ourselves in one of those tree pod things, and we become a tree. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's cool. That's
I
fine
like that.
too. Or just stop caring about people's dead bodies.
Yeah.
Because you're dead.
So what are you gonna do with them? You gonna burn them? Cremate them?
Yeah, burn them.
Cremate everyone?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real other use for it, right?
Yeah. I think when we've moved past the need, like, dude, dead people really need. What are they called? Mausoleums or whatever they're called? What are they called? Like one of those like bigger graves? Is it a mausoleum?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's something, but
you know what I'm talking
like
about?
a crypt or like a
like why?
Yeah. There's
like,
no that shit. There's no need
like,
for.
Who are you, King Tut?
Right.
You know.
You need a fucking pyramid, bro.
Yeah.
No. I think that a grave is nice and everything, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I might be totally fucking wrong about this. I think graves came about, like burying people, because because of disease.
Yeah. Well, yes.
We put them in the ground so that we didn't, and then that actually ended up giving us disease, because now it's dead things that have disease in the ground spreading disease through the ground, and now we're eating shit from the ground where the disease is. But yeah, I think we're past that as a society, and I think it's just something that we're holding on to.
Yeah.
Because it's sentimental to be able to go visit a loved one or whatever. But I think there's other productive ways to do it. Turn yourself into a tree. Much more productive.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
I agree.
You know? Okay. Oh, see, no, I don't agree with this. Well, they're both sad, but this is something that I've dealt with a lot in the past 2 weeks. The death of a young adult is generally sadder than the death of a child. As someone that I've had to deal with a few child deaths.
I don't feel like you should compare those things.
Well, no, you shouldn't compare them.
Worth having an opinion over.
No, you shouldn't compare them. But I've actually had this conversation with a few people, because I work with kids that have cancer and have all sorts of diseases and everything. And sometimes they do pass. And in the past couple weeks, I've had a few that have passed, and it sucks. But I was talking to someone, and I was like, and I've also had, it's been a weird month. I've also had grandparents that have gone into the hospital, so I've had to deal with kind of thinking about those things as well.
Yeah.
And it's now a young adult is different, but than a grandparent, but it's much more satisfying to be able to see someone that has at least been able to live at least some form of independent life, rather than a fucking 6 or an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. It's like that person didn't even get to figure out who they are yet.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I remember when I was a kid, and actually, I don't know if this actually happened or whether this was just like a dream I had or something. Oh, and my laptop died, so I have to get my unpopular opinions on my phone. But
unprepared.
I remember being like on some sort of, like, I was on a boat with my dad, and I asked him, and I must have been probably like the age that some of these kids are. I was like, what happens when you die?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being really upset about it, because it was the first time I thought about like not being, like, I thought about like
crazy thought.
I tried to wrap my head around, like, as a child, about like, oh, one day I'm going to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, I remember he had like a pretty good response, but what I'm saying is, like, the age of these kids that you're dealing with, like, they don't, how do you, like, like, they haven't even conceptualized death yet. Like,
right.
How can you don't have like the brain capacity to wrap your head around something like that.
Right. Which is what I think is what this person is getting at, is like, oh, at least a 20 and 30 or 20, 25-year-old was able to think about what they want to do with their life. A 6 and an 8-year-old, at least innocently, hasn't been able to do that yet. So maybe that's why they're thinking of it as less sad, which is a ridiculous comparison, like we said. But one, they're both sad, and two, there's something about a kid that just never even got a chance. That's like, oh yeah, fuck. That sucks.
It really makes you question like what, like, mortality and like the meaning of life, because it's like, for me, like, I don't know, it's there's not much of a reasoning. There's not many ways to reason your way around that situation outside of just like, this thing of life is like temporary, and everybody dies, and it's a vicious world.
That's all you can. That's the only way I've dealt with it with these kids is that this is a circle that we're all gonna go through, and whether it's now or whether it's later, it happens, and you kind of have to figure out a way to deal with it. But
so here's another one. I prefer messaging over calling all the time. That really annoys me, because like, calling is way better. It's sometimes. Way better.
Yeah.
Like, and I was having this conversation, I think, with Mickey last week, but about how, like, it's really annoying that so many people don't like to get on the phone, and they're by their phone, and they won't answer a phone call.
Right. I just ignored Jesse's phone call, but that's because
we're doing something. Yeah, but I'm saying there are people that just won't answer, because I do it sometimes, but I try not to. But, like,
well, you get shit done way faster over a phone call,
and there's way much less room for misunderstanding. And like texting is actually, the fact that it's like our primary form of communication is awful, because it's such an inadequate form to communicate.
It's like part of our downfall.
It's a little better now with emojis, which you can express like more tone with them. I actually think that's a great addition to the medium of communicating via texting.
Yeah, it is.
But there's something about hearing a voice that instantly makes the communication more effective.
It's weird how that works, right? Like, we literally have gone back to hieroglyphics.
Yeah, it is weird from a linguistic standpoint.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday because I was talking about, because we've been showing the apartment to people, like, people have been coming over because we're moving to a new space, and I was saying how I thought that people were being rude to the real estate guy. And somehow I got on the conversation of so basically the conversation I was having was, this person was saying that it's rude to respond via email with like a short answer, but not via text. And I was saying they're too similar at this point to care about something like that.
I actually got because I was CC'd on that email. I know exactly what email you're talking about. You're talking about the one where you're like, okay, or where you said
I said, okay, sure.
Yeah,
something.
You said sure, yeah.
Which to me, I think it's fine. Like, I have people email me back all the time that say, okay, sounds good.
Right.
Nothing. And I'm like, that doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother me at all, because I think that I think we've reached a point with email that it's so casual and so easily accessible that it's just a more organized way to text.
In certain scenarios, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's certainly ways but I think that we're at a point now where we can like say that it's not strange for you to send a message via email that's not so dissimilar to texting.
No.
Because of the accessibility and the way that we use it now.
No. One thing I do though over email that I try and do on every email to just, even if I do send like a 3-4 word email back, I every time will add my signature to it or say best Keith Vartanian or like sincerely or whatever.
I do that too.
I do that every time because I'm like, okay, I want to keep some form. There's a reason why I'm doing email. I want to keep some form of formality.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like people that say like, and this is, I think this is very true, is I'm not going to text you at 11:30 at night telling you that I can't make it somewhere. I'll email you at 11:30 at night telling you that I can't make it somewhere, but I'm not going to text you because there's an immediacy. There's an expectation for an immediate response in texting. There's not an expectation for an immediate response in email.
See, I don't abide by that rule. I don't think that there should be an expectation for an immediate response for texting, nor do I think that there is. I think that people would like there to be, but I don't think that there is.
I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that I think people expect you to look at your phone.
And actually, I think that's something people should let go.
Yes, I agree.
That expectation.
I agree.
It's like, okay, I'm in the middle of something. I'll text you back when I'm done.
Right. Oh my God. People that are like, I know you're sitting by your phone.
It's like, if you're one of those people, leave.
Right. I'm doing something. I'm fucking doing something.
If you're one of those people, go to your window, jump out. Okay? Hit the cement.
A little far. A little far. Did you just go or did I just go?
I went.
You went? All right. Oh, this is fun. Nerds and geeks have every right to be frustrated about their culture being bastardized by the very people who made their lives hell over it. Fucking agree.
Yeah.
Agree with that shit.
Yeah.
When we were in school, if you like had any interest in education, you were a fucking loser.
Right.
And now those are the people that are like, they're touted as like amazing individuals. And of course they are, because they're smart as shit.
Well, it's also like many of the people, like, so for example, we were talking about the popularity of Game of Thrones and Endgame at the beginning of this. The people that make that cool, like the writers and the
special effects
people,
yeah,
or CGI people, like,
they were the nerds.
Right. They were the artists. They're definitely not fucking Brad who's smoking weed after school every day.
Right. Or the fucking Connor, the high school jock,
Life always works out well though for like as far as like those people getting and landing where they deserve. Like, sorry, if you're listening to this and you're a young kid, like just focus on school and be smart. It's not cool to be a loser.
I think
it's not cool to smoke weed in
at 15
school.
years old. And no. It's cool to try and learn. It's cool to try and better yourself. And that's we lost that in our generation a little bit.
Yeah. I kind of want to read one of these that says like Endgame was mediocre.
Oh God!
This one says Endgame was really mediocre. You could cut the first hour of the movie in half.
Agree.
And have missed literally nothing. The action scenes are underwhelming, but competently shot. The suspension of disbelief required to enjoy it at all is just ridiculously high.
That I don't agree with.
I cannot be more specific, as doing so would likely constitute spoilers, but I keep seeing people saying how great Endgame was. After seeing it myself, I don't see it. And then, hold on, there was one other one that I want to find and see what the other person said. That way we can get like two. Okay, here we go. This one reads, Avengers Endgame was an okay movie, but not the greatest. So I watched Avengers Endgame and enjoyed it. It was not a bad movie by any means, but there were a lot of plot holes and inconvincing character development. Me and another bunch of friends who watched the movie rated it a 6.5 out of 10.
Oof.
I mentioned this on the Marvel Studio and got downvotes and same explanations for it. I believe there were lots of inconsistencies from the previous movies. Oh, this is a spoiler alert. I shouldn't say that. Wow, I really didn't want to know that. Okay. Thanos is like, fuck it, I will kill everyone. Yeah, I know, he saw the future and he was young and blah, blah. The rationale behind all the killings he intended was inconvincing. I am not here to argue or change someone's opinion. The movie was fun, but meh at the same time.
I see where they're coming from. I just think they're taking a little too far on their opinions of all those things. I think that, yes, you had to suspend. I texted Johnny about this too. I was like, there are certain points where I was like, okay, I have to suspend my disbelief a little bit too much here. There was a little bit of a plot hole here, but there's plot holes in everything. In every single film that you're going to watch, there's going to be something that you're like, no, I don't agree with that. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but just it's a movie.
Yeah.
Like it's, if it were real life, it wouldn't work, but that's why it's not real life, and it's people flying around in fucking Spider-Man suits because it's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a little ridiculous.
I feel like what these people are saying, though, is not so dissimilar to what I was saying earlier. It's like you have people that are, giving this the crown jewel of movies of all time.
Of course.
And other people are like,
it's not there.
Right. It's like they're all saying it's entertaining, but that's what it is. It's
right.
Entertainment.
It's entertainment.
Right.
Right. And but if you go into it with any more expectation than that, then you're fooling yourself.
Right. I like this. Do you have one?
No, I don't have one yet. Go ahead.
Tattoos don't have to have a meaning.
Tattoos don't. I get it. I wouldn't get one without one.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I think that tattoos can just be for aesthetic purposes, and if that's the meaning behind it, you think it looks cool, that's good enough.
But I think that's a meaning, right? I think some people will get fucking ridiculous things.
Well, listen, if you're a SoundCloud rapper, go to the window. Jump out.
A SoundCloud rapper?
Yeah. You want to know why? Because people from SoundCloud, hey, you getting Kirby tattooed on your cheek? SoundCloud rappers are literally like, hey, I'm going to get cheese tattooed on my eyelid.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Like Cinnabon tattooed on my chin.
It's
stupid. I'm going to get the Grim Reaper tattooed on my temple. That's what these people, they look so stupid. I'm so sick of these people.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, all right, we get it. We get it.
I know.
Okay?
I have this one's really unpopular. Well, I don't know if it's really unpopular, but it's going to get us in trouble.
Why?
You ready?
I don't know.
It's not going to get us in trouble, but with the way you went with your fucking poop story, it could get you in trouble.
That's not offensive.
No. This is going to be offensive to people.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, come on. All right, fine.
What? It's an unpopular opinion section. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying it's an unpopular opinion. If you believe the future is female, I won't take you seriously.
Okay. Do you want to read what this person says?
Sure. It says, sure, there are more female scientists than there ever have been, and I'm totally cool with that. Agree. What I'm not cool with is the fact that you are disregarding a whole other gender that statistically has far more scientists. Okay, that's just a stupid point. Far more scientists, engineers, programmers, etc. The future is not female. Males will always be a part of society. It's a statement that is untrue and disregards more than half the population. Right now, there are approximately 66 million more men than women, and there are 107 boys born for every 100 girls. I don't think any of that is relevant. What I think is relevant is literally he said one sentence here is a relevant sentence that he made is males will always be a part of society. That's it. That's all you got to say.
I think that's kind of disingenuous, though, because I think the statement for a lot of people, the future is female, is just trying to get equal rights.
Of course.
For females.
Right.
I don't think that obviously with anything, there are extremists and radicals that actually want the future to be literally only female.
But I think that's what he's pointing at here. I think he's pointing at those people that you've seen it. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on Facebook where people are literally if you're a straight white male, if you're a male, then I don't want to hear your opinion. It's well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's ridiculous.
What I'm saying is the problem is it's always the loudest, the small loud people that make a bad rap for everything. That's with anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a small group of loud people.
Right.
And they can get really loud. And so what's happening right now is there's a small group of loud feminists, both male and female, that are shouting the future is female.
Right.
And genuinely do not want to see any part from the male gender within that.
Right.
And I know, if you're not one of those people, cool. You don't have to come at us and be like, well, not everybody thinks that. That's not what the point is.
Right. We know that. We know that.
I get it. But there are people that do want that.
Right. And they're very loud.
And it's just a silly desire because it's so radical. It will never happen.
No.
And if you want, what I see happening from that is if that's the route that you're taking, you're setting yourself up for disappointment because it will never happen.
Right.
And also you're creating a lot of tension that doesn't need to exist.
Right. That last sentence you just said is exactly what it is. It's that's just unnecessary tension. How about we just agree that the future is fucking human and we want equal for everyone. It's saying it's wanting, equal rights for, yes, of course we all want equal rights.
Yeah.
But to then then they go further and they say we want more equal rights. And that doesn't make sense.
This is sort of in line. Being woke has now become blindly following the status quo, which is very true.
Yes, true.
Let me read this. It's pretty self-explanatory, but to elaborate, The most recent example, although not the best, would have to be the popularity through Little Dicky's Earth music video. While it had a positive message, this stuff was readily available knowledge for around 10 years, and for some facts even before. Now, it has a positive message, so I won't complain, but you are not woke and ahead of most people just by stating already well-known knowledge. And being on top of that, only knowing because you're bandwagoning what you see on the media. Also, it's kind of sad that it took, of all things, a rapper and not scientific evidence available for people to even realize what's going on around them. That's ignorance, not wokeness. Just in general, for a better example of where it's more unhealthy is politically correct culture and how forming a politically correct opinion is suddenly woke when all you're doing is riding the wave of mainstream opinions. Now, it doesn't sound too unhealthy yet. However, I think the main thing this affects is people's minds are becoming less and less independent and more interdependent. True.
That's true.
Not many people I talk to can form their own conclusions and opinions. All these people who claim to be woke too often ride some waves that aren't even good and just breed hate in this country in the first place. Yeah, I mean, being woke is like the same thing as being a white supremacist. That sounds like a crazy, but the logic kind of sounds the same in that it's a bandwagoning thing.
Right. Well, it's like you can have a conversation with them, right? And you know exactly who it is when you talk to them because they'll be like, well, look at this article. And it's like, wait, hold on. Can we have a conversation?
Yeah.
Though? Me and you have a conversation, not me and you in the article.
Being woke, like that phrase, I think started off as a good thing, and now it's just been parodied, and it's like now it's dedicated to the people that. It's like a parody. It's like a joke. Like, oh, you're so woke. Like, you have all this information. Like,
but the people that claim to be woke don't realize it's a parody.
Yeah, and also, like, it's no longer being woke because the definition of it has changed.
Right.
Now, if you're woke, it's more like you're, like, a left ideologue. That's kind of what it means.
Yeah.
And, like, hate to say it, but if you subscribe too far to any ideology,
you can't critically think.
What you're spewing is bias, whether you believe it or not.
Right.
That's anybody. If you subscribe, there is no perfect ideology, and so if you stand 100% by a set of systematic rules and beliefs, it's no different than subscribing to a religion. I think we can all agree that these systems of thought, like you subscribe to them. There is no system of thought that we've developed yet that is 100% the way that things should be.
Right.
100% right.
Right.
So if
we've gotten it wrong every time.
If you're just spewing the same beliefs within a system solely because like it's the mainstream and like you want to fit in or you want to appear as you want to have a certain self-image that you're projecting or whatever the reason is, like if you're doing that, then at least admit to yourself that you're being biased and also not thinking for yourself.
It's like people that people on the left do it, people on the right do it, but if you say I'm a hard conservative and I only subscribe to conservative policies, you don't critically think.
It's the same thing.
If I'm a hard liberal and I only subscribe to liberal policies, you don't critically think.
Right.
You don't take a look. Just peek around the corner.
Like the reason why these topics are controversial or worth conversation at all is because there's no black and white answer to them.
Right.
If there was, it would not be like
we would have figured it out thousands of years ago.
These parties are acting like there is, and that's problematic.
Right. They don't want to sit down and talk to each other and find that it's like having two halves of a brain, right? And you have to have the whole fucking brain to exist, but this brain doesn't want to work with this half.
That's exactly what it's like though, because from a psychological standpoint, like people on the left and the right think differently.
Yes.
So people on the left tend to be more creative, tend to have more of like an entrepreneurial mind, and people on the right are really good at organization and
like managerial.
And so it
you have to work together for it to work.
But we're not seeing that compatibility at the moment.
Right.
Which is not good. I mean, but you can understand the points of conflict just based off that one single fact. It's like because like creatives don't necessarily within like a capitalist system, they don't benefit monetarily. Only a small percentage of them do.
Right.
So it makes sense that the left is more socialist just based off that.
Right.
The right, on the other hand, does very well financially because they're all the managers and they're all the CEOs and they're all the all these people that run businesses and sustain businesses.
Right.
Only so many ideas get taken from the left and get turned into a business.
Right.
And so you begin to see how different characteristics of these two parties play out in real life
and how you fall into one or the other.
Instead of hating somebody for what they can't control,
right?
But because hey, you can't. But I can't control that I'm more creative than I am. I'm not a math person. My older brother's a math person. I'm not like that.
Right.
We have different personality types, and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't hate him for that.
Right.
You know, and
I can still talk to him.
Right.
I'm not unfriending him on
and
Facebook.
Hey, guess what? If I ever had an idea, like for sound pollination here, if there was somebody that came in that was like, I'm a conservative, but I can run this business and I can make it successful, I'd be like, get the fuck in here and do your job because I can't do that.
Right.
I'm not as good as that at that as you are, clearly.
Yeah.
And hey, and he would probably say, but I need you to keep coming up with ideas. That's the relationship that we need to have.
Yep.
It should not be a relationship of like, just like absolute dismissal and hatred for policies that
just because we do things differently.
If you think about it, aren't even being made for them. If it's just the way somebody's brain works, it's just the way their brain works.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you can't help somebody for having those tendencies. It's just like
no, but it's not even that you can't help someone. It's like it's productive for that to happen. It's productive for you to think differently than everyone else. If everyone else thought like you did, we'd fail.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it'd be a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
The only way that you get anywhere is by having conversation and by working through problems, not by saying I'm the right one.
Yeah.
No, fucking Einstein didn't come up. You know, it's like these things don't happen with one solution. It's trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, and that only happens through conversation.
Yeah.
Only.
I agree. Yoga pants are the equivalent to sweatpants and are not appropriate work attire. I have to agree with that because honestly, I think they're worse than sweatpants. Not
appropriate work attire?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on your job. I literally wear fucking pajamas at my job.
If you're working at a gym or a fitness center,
right.
It's different. But like, if you're wearing can we all just agree that like yoga pants are like, they might as well be like, like sexy lingerie. It's your bottom half is naked. Like straight up, if you're wearing yoga pants, you're naked.
I mean, it's not naked.
No, if you're wearing yoga pants, you're only wearing a shirt.
Okay, correct.
No, you are.
Explain.
Like, okay, let me try to think of like something comparable to this.
Dig yourself a hole, dig it deep.
Okay,
dig it deep.
Let me talk. Let's. So if you buy a pack of frozen chicken, right, and there's that thin layer of what is it? Like plastic wrap around it that's like sealed tight around it.
Okay.
You still see all the parts of the chicken. Okay? That's the same thing as yoga pants. I'm not looking at that chicken and trying to figure out what it looks like. Okay? Yoga pants, same thing.
Okay, so what about like leggings or like tights? Tights underneath the dress.
Well, you have a dress on.
But it's pretty much the same thing as a shirt. Like I feel like wearing like a skirt with
depends
tights
on what.
Of
course, it depends on the rest of the outfit. What I'm saying is like, and I don't care. I'm just letting everybody know like that's what it is. Like
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you're
like
naked.
I mean, like I think we can all get past the fact like this like pretend thing that like if you're wearing tights as a guy or a girl, because guys wear like tight leggings when they're running and stuff. It's like it's can see your body.
It's form fitting.
Yes, and you can like there is something like innately like sexual about wearing an outfit like that, whether you want it to be or not, whether that's your intention. Like you can see the other like a person's full body and see the outline of it, like curves and it
could be sexual, but think about like
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the intention is to be sexual, but you're gonna receive sexual attention because those are the parts of the body that a lot of people are attracted to.
Right.
There was a
it's like gymnasts that wear fucking leotards, and you know I was a gymnast and I literally had to wear a leotard.
And like that's fine. I'm not bagging on. I'm just saying like when there was a art project that was done, this digital art project, and what it did was anybody can go to this website, and it was like made out of big data, and people got to pick where on the human body, both male and female, they like to be touched the most. Right. And so obviously it was like the genitalia and like the butt and like mostly around that region. And then after that, it was like female chest, male chest, like mouth and like those regions. So what I'm saying is like, it's like a known thing that those regions of your body are like desired regions when you're speaking in sexual terms.
Right.
So if you're highlighting those regions, then you're going to get sexual attention.
Right. It's only
like,
logical.
I don't think that, like, for both males and females, I don't think that that's crazy to say.
No.
That's why I'm just saying, like, if you're wearing yoga pants to work, to, like, an office, it's, like, a little odd. Like, that's your choice, and you're welcome to do so if it's not against your office policy. But, you know, like, it is kind of like you're a piece of chicken wrapped in, like, a plastic wrap, you know?
I guess. I kind of agree with you.
How do you disagree with that?
It's because that's a function of it, but there's
I'm not saying that it's not serving a function. I'm saying that's how it's perceived, though, by people.
Some people, yeah.
Most people, if you're a guy and like there's a girl in yoga pants, every guy is looking at you.
Yes.
Like, not in a, like, that's like, I'm just saying.
But the opposite isn't true. If you're, maybe it just shows that guys are fucking sick in the head. But if you're a guy,
I think that women are probably attracted to different. I think it's like the equivalent to a guy wearing like a tight shirt, showing off like his six pack and like his pecs and like that.
I'll put it to you this way, okay? Because this kind of negates the theory. In jiu-jitsu, like if you do no-gi, right? No-gi is jiu-jitsu without a gi on. Okay, so and what you wear is totally form-fitting clothing. You wear either tights, and you wear like it's called a rash guard. Yeah. So it's like a top. It's like an Under Armour top, right? But ain't nobody getting sexual in there, and that's because.
But that's because the nature of that's an environment where the attire it suits the environment.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's not innately sexual. It's that we kind of.
But here's the thing. I think that if some guy walked into that room that's not a jiu-jitsu person and they were just there and saw these women wearing tight clothing, they would have the same reaction.
Yeah.
Because you're normalized to it. It's not you.
That's real.
That doesn't signal to you.
That's fair.
In that environment, that outfit doesn't signal to you like a sexual thing.
But as soon as they step in, their attitude has to change.
What do you mean?
Well, their attitude changes as soon as they step. Like, let's say it's like a new trial, right? Like a new person coming into a no-gi class for the first time, never has done martial arts.
Oh, I don't think it's that quick. I don't think that if they do it one time, they're gonna be desensitized to.
No, well, listen though, they're not desensitized because they still think it's weird.
Yeah.
Right, but they're not. It's not like they're getting a fucking boner. I'm not even
saying that people are going around getting boners whenever there's somebody with yoga pants. What I'm saying is that it's a provocative outfit to wear.
Sure.
Absolutely. On both male and females, wearing tight clothing is provocative. Like it always has been. Always showing off curves and lines in your body and like being able to see the form of the human body,
right,
which is the basis for sexual attraction.
Right, that's fair.
Is provocative.
Yeah, it's fair.
Totally provocative.
I'm just saying it's not always that case, but yes, it is provocative. I have one more.
Okay. And
I agree with this one. Alcohol is overrated, and drinking in general is not that fun.
So drinking in general can be super fun sometimes.
It depends on the scenario.
But it's definitely more fun if you don't do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get people, dude, that fucking go out to, and I see it on my, like, not even just people back home, but it's a lot of people back home and people that I know here that like have 9-to-5 jobs, so they don't really have to worry too much about, you know, like doing things at night, productive things at night or whatever. They have their 9-to-5 and then they go out. But there are people that I see that go out 3-4 times a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know, it's like, I don't, and for years on end, how do you find enjoyment? Because we all know how shitty the next morning is, right? I don't get how you find enjoyment out of doing that. I mean, you gotta be a tough motherfucker. Your stomach's gotta be super, super solid to be able to handle that shit. It's not fun for me.
I think I honestly, based on my observation, I think that heavily reflects people that started drinking when they were much younger. I think that people that started drinking at a much younger age drink way more often. And I don't even have to look at a study to know that.
Yeah.
Even though I know there are studies that support that. Just in my life circle of people that I know, like kids that I used to know drank a lot when we were like 14, 15.
Right.
They're the same kids now that are continuing to drink on the weekends a lot.
Right.
I think I'm a little lucky because I didn't really start drinking or anything until I was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And so I just like, there were kids that were like, that's still kind of young, but
it's not freshman year of high school.
Right.
I'm the same way. I started drinking when I was in college. I didn't have
like a beer until like my junior year of high school, which is like, you know,
I might have drank 2 times my entire high school career. I didn't really drink until I got into college.
Yeah.
And that's when I started drinking. And now, I'm just like, you know, like we don't.
It
like
really
go
is
out
like
and
it really is
party
like a thing. Like and people, I mean, kids are so stupid, and everybody's a stupid kid, you know. Like you don't want to listen to adults, but I'm telling you, again, if there's kids listening to this right now, drinking and smoking weed and doing stuff to your brain when you're young is not
good for you.
Good. It's
don't
really
do it.
not good.
Don't fucking
when you're
do
18. Honestly, it's still not the best, but do whatever the hell you want. But
they say now,
don't start until like when you're 14. It's just not good.
Oh, it's terrible.
There's like an absolute 100% correlation between that and your lifestyle in the future.
Yes.
1,000%.
They say now that your brain, and I totally believe this because I've seen it with myself.
Doesn't form until 25.
25. It's not. It's and that's when it becomes totally solid and like this is who you are now.
Yeah, 1,000%. I feel that 100%.
Yeah, I can't even imagine myself, you know, at 14 drinking and what I would be like right now. I'd be a totally different person, not for the better. You know, so kids, if you're drinking at 14, fucking stop.
Dude, I was so dramatic when I was a kid too. Kids are so dramatic and like don't want to listen to anybody.
No. They're like, you don't know anything. It's like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not like I wasn't 14 once.
Relax.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to chill out. Like I remember that I had this girlfriend when I was a sophomore in high school, and when she broke up with me, I thought my world was over. And I specifically remember my dad being like, you know, like now looking back, like my dad must have been like, ugh, like rolling Jesus his Christ, eyes, like you got this like. What is it, like you're 14 or 15 years old saying his heart's broken. Right. Meanwhile, my dad, who's like divorced, you know, with kids. And
right. He's like, you don't know shit.
And he's like, you know, he's saying like things like, you know, Grant, like there's going to be a lot more women in your life. Like this is not the first time you're going to go through a breakup. And like, you know, you're very, very, very young and saying all these things. Like, doesn't matter. Right. Doesn't change how I feel.
Dude, I did that shit at fucking 20. Yeah. Never mind fucking 15.
It's like,
you know?
It's like so lame.
I would never do it now, but that's because I'm, you know, my brain has formed.
Yeah, if you're a kid doing that right now, you get gored. You get chops.
Yeah, pumpkin patch.
Yeah. If you're a kid doing that right now, you're a member of the pumpkin patch.
Hey, don't be a member of the pumpkin patch.
Don't be a member of the pumpkin patch, kids.
All right. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
Peace out, everyone.
If you're a pumpkin patch, don't listen to this podcast anymore.
Yeah. Cut it now before it ends.
Yeah.
Peace.
That's me, people. That was a long one. That was almost 2 hours. Didn't feel like it. Did you hear me?
That was a long one. We did that. Did you stop the stream?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.